Hey everybody, it's Aldo Gandhi, and I just want to let you know really quickly that our swag shop is reopened. DeepDishTees.com is where you go, and that's tees with T-E-E-S. Clever name, guys. They're the new home of our merchandise. You can get t-shirts, you can get caps, you can get coffee mugs, you can get hoodies, you can get all sorts of good stuff, and you'll help out the bar room with the purchase. So head over to DeepDishTees.com.
You're listening to the Ballroom Network. The following program is intended for all audiences. Welcome to the South Burbs Hitmen podcast with your hosts, Joe Mandel, Steven Zim Zimmerman, Vinny Parisi, and Chris Gonzalez. We're bringing you the White Sox coverage you need from the perspective of true Southsiders. Grab your Comiskey dog with an ice-cold beer and meet us in section 155. Everyone get on your feet for your 2021 South Burbs Hitmen.
That ball hit deep. Way back. You can put it on the board. Yes. Jimenez in the air. Left field. He's your hero tonight. Thanks, Cubs. Over the head of Jenks. Uribe charges, throws. Out! And the White Sox have won the World Series. Alexei! Yes! 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 History! A perfect game by Mark Burley, and what an unbelievable play by 21.
First pitch starts now. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the South Burbs Hitmen podcast. I am one of your hosts, Joe Mandel, and I'm joined by my White Sox brother-in-arms. Of course, I'm talking about Vinny Parisi, Steven Zim Zimmerman, and Chris Gonzalez. Gentlemen, how you guys doing today? We've got a great show planned for everyone, but before I even get to you guys, we got some huge breaking news coming out from the White Sox. Luis Robert has been cleared to begin his rehab assignment in Winston-Salem starting on Wednesday. Absolutely huge news. Vinny, I'll toss it to you first since you are our main man covering this stuff. How excited are you for the return of Luis Robert?
Guys, it's huge. First of all, welcome to the show. Happy to be on. Very excited. Luis Robert is a game-breaking type player. He's a five-tool player: contact, speed, power, defense. He's the whole package. So getting a guy like that back, it might take a minute for him to get his legs under him, as we've seen with some other guys in the past. But with a guy who's a freak athlete like that, he also might just come back and be Luis Robert again because he's Luis Robert. So, it will be after Jimenez is already back. So you insert two pillars into the lineup like that within the next month or so, I would say. I read on Twitter that they expect them both back by the Field of Dreams game, which is super exciting. So definitely excited about it, and hopefully it means big things for the lineup.
Yeah, no doubt about it, man. We're all excited. Zim, I'll toss it to you real quick. You are on mute, just so you know. And real quick thoughts on that before we get to our guest.
No, it's awesome to have both of these guys back. Or coming back, rather. This is exactly what we kind of hoped for when we first saw the injury and saw the timelines for both of these guys. The fact that both of these guys are going to be coming back at a time where they can potentially make a big old playoff push is really, really exciting for this club.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I can't wait. I know Chris Gonzalez can't wait either. Gonzo, real quick, last bit before we bring on our very special guest.
Yeah, no, I'm having both Eloy back and Luis Robert right in time, earlier than expected. We all really love to see that. We were really worried when all the injuries went down. So glad they're going to come back right in time for the Field of Dreams game in a couple of weeks here, especially in a game that's going to be highlighted against the Yankees. It's going to be showcased national game. Perfect to have our superstars in the game for that series.
Yeah, Field of Dreams is going to be a dream come true for all of us, not even the players, for everyone. But let's move forward, guys. Let's bring on our very special guest. We are joined tonight by Sarah LaPorta, the Director of Community and Charitable Programs for White Sox Charities. Sarah, thank you so much for taking the time to join us tonight. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
Yeah, so obviously, yeah, you're doing a lot when it comes to White Sox Charities. Obviously, the big ticket event that's coming up here in a couple days is the inaugural telethon-style White Sox Charities Day. It's coming up on Wednesday. So, tell our listeners a little bit about that and what kind of special things are going on and, how they can donate. It sounds like a really, really special event.
Yeah, as you mentioned, it's first time we're doing it. We've done some similar things. This is our first kind of telethon style, kind of old school telethon where you actually have to call someone and, buy something over the phone versus doing it online. So starting at 7:00 on Wednesday, the 21st, fans can call. We'll have the phone number on our website. It's whitesox.com/charitiesdays, the site. And you can go on and make a donation to White Sox Charities. But what's cool about this night in particular is if you make a donation at different levels, you will receive fun gifts. So the first level is $25 and you receive a White Sox Charities t-shirt. The next level is $60 and you receive a mystery autographed baseball. The baseball is autographed by anyone on our 2021 roster, a few really key prospects, a few members of our coaching staff. So you don't know who you're going to get. You get just about anyone. And then the $150 level, you get, it's a really nice like White Sox cooler bag. It holds 24 beers. If anyone that needs to know how many, it's 24.
I like the science behind it. Yeah.
And then it's got an autographed baseball in it, a mystery as well, a bobblehead, also a mystery, a Bluetooth portable speaker, an aluminum water bottle. Of course, everything's Sox branded, and some game tickets are in there as well. So limited quantities on everything. So I do anticipate, selling out during the game, but it'll start at 7:00. We'll be available all game long. We'll have volunteer corps members answering the phones and players' wives, so you can talk to them. And a special surprise is the first caller will be able to talk to Carlton Fisk. So that'll be fun. So whoever's first.
Hall of Famer Carlton Fisk. Very, very cool. It sounds like it's going to be an awesome event for White Sox Charities. So make sure you guys tune in Wednesday to the game and get something. There's a lot of different options. Everything helps. But
and even if you don't want to make a donation, we're just telling a lot of cool stories of some of the impact we've had over the years with different people in the community. So even if you just want to watch, there'll be a lot of great stories to tell during the game.
Yeah, no, that's going to be awesome. Speaking of White Sox Charities, you guys do some amazing work across Chicagoland. You've donated $6.6 million to youth baseball initiatives like White Sox Amateur City Elite Program, ACE for short. Tell us a little bit about that and how important it is to pull young kids away from inner city violence with something as simple as baseball.
So it kind of started, I think it was 12 years ago now, 11 or 12. One of our scouts came to us and said, hey, there's a lot of talent on the south side of Chicago, but people just don't know about it. College coaches don't know about it. Scouts don't know about it because, number one, they aren't comfortable coming to these high schools in the inner city. And number two, a lot of the way that, high school athletes are noticed now for baseball is by playing in travel baseball and tournaments all over the country. So, that's where the scouts are going into these big tournaments. So, and obviously a kid from the inner city can't afford to play travel baseball because it's expensive for one, extremely expensive. They just don't have the resources. So we said, okay, we think there could be something there. So Kenny Williams and, our executive director of White Sox Charities, Christina O'Reilly, they went to talk to high school coaches and different, kind of community organizations on the south side. They're like, there's something here. So we started with a couple of 17U, so basically high school senior teams. The first year, it was great, but what we realized very quickly is we weren't getting to the right age group fast enough. The 17U kids were important, but they were almost too committed to whatever they were doing by then. We needed to get younger. So now we're at a point where we have teams starting as young as 12, and we're even investing in some even younger age groups, but 12U is the first ACE team. We have 150 kids trying out. This week actually is our tryouts. And through that, we obviously have kids try out and make different teams. And so we have it depends on the year, but 3 to 4 teams per age group, 12U all the way up to 17U. They play in tournaments all over the country. They were in Atlanta, Georgia a couple weeks ago. They're in Indianapolis this past weekend. They play some local tournaments, but they play a lot kind of all over the country. And then, they're being noticed. And whether, they get a lot of, college offers or some even get drafted. We had Corey Ray was our first player to ever make a major league roster. He played for the Brewers this year against the Cubs for a couple of games. It was awesome. And just so cool that one of our kids from the south side of Chicago is on a major league roster. So hopefully he's on there to stay sooner than later. He just got called up for a couple of games. But we've had over 250 kids get a college scholarship because of baseball. And these are kids that wouldn't be going to college otherwise. Not all of them, but most of them, this is their, kind of ticket to college. So it's a really cool program. White Sox Charities covers all the expenses. And anyone that has played travel baseball or has kids playing travel sports, it is not inexpensive to have a kid playing travel baseball. So we invest a lot in the kids, and they have to hold up their end of the bargain too. They have to keep their grades up. They can't play unless they keep their grades up. They can't be a part of the program without that. And then sportsmanship is another big piece of it. So between the sportsmanship and academic standpoint, we really want to prepare them to succeed in college because, for a lot of these kids, they've never left their, small community. So we want them when we have a lot of kids that go to Michigan. The Michigan coach just loves our program. So to go from, your small community to the University of Michigan is a big change.
Sure.
So we work a lot with them just to kind of prepare them for that.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing the kind of things that White Sox Charities does. That's why we just wanted to have you guys on here to kind of spotlight some of that. So I'm going to pass over to one of my co-hosts here, Steven Zim Zimmerman. Zim, what kind of questions you got, my friend? I'll let you go next.
Hey, yeah, thanks, Joe. I really just have one quick question here, which is about, the things that you've done in the past. White Sox Charities has done, bobbleheads, players' wives, mystery bags, things along those lines. Are there any kind of cool things like that planned for this year, for the rest of this summer, or what do you have coming up, aside from the presser that we just got out today?
We have a lot coming up in July and August. I'll tell you that. We have 2 big announcements coming in the next couple of weeks. One this week, as soon as tomorrow, and another one will be next week. So a lot of people's fan favorites, as far as bobbleheads, are coming back. We had to take a year off last year for obvious reasons, but we're back this year with the bobblehead. And then we have another really cool one that I can't give out really any details yet, but all I'll say is that it involves Iowa. So should be fun. So we have a lot. Yeah. I feel like July and August are it's one thing after another. So there will be a lot of announcements here coming soon. And then hopefully in September, we'll be working on some playoff focused fundraising. So fingers crossed that all those ideas pan out. So
yeah. Awesome.
Yeah,
Thank you.
We're with you there.
I know it's tough to kind of talk about some of these things when you got to keep them under wraps. Thank you for giving such a great teaser. That's honestly already got me kind of excited about some of the things coming up. So, all right. I'm going to toss it over to Vinny. I thank you. I know it was quick, but Vinny, what do you have?
Yeah, I kind of wanted to go off your question. First of all, Sarah, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. I want to hear a little more about, you got the Queen of Hearts and the 50-50 raffles. What are those mean to the charity, and how do those kind of help out?
I mean, 50-50 for one is that is our bread and butter. If that ever went away, it would drastically impact how we are able to do things.
Oh, I'm sure.
So in 2019, we generated over $2 million. So half obviously went to fans and then half stayed with us. So that's $1 million that we invest back in the community. It's 50-50 is and a lot of people don't know this. We are one of the first teams in the United States to do 50-50. We're pretty sure we were the first ever baseball team, but there's not a lot of historical data on 50-50 raffles. I know that's probably a surprise, for all the stats that we keep track of, no one kept track of that. But we think we were, if not the first, one of the first to do 50-50 at baseball. Canadians and then hockey, they've been doing it for forever because it's hockey in Canada. But for the U.S. and baseball, we think we were the first team to do it. So that is, it's been since the early 90s that we've been doing it. And the cool part about 50-50 for us is it's such a culture of our fans. Like, they come to the game, they get their 50-50 ticket, they get their hot dog, they get their beer, they go to their seats. Like, it's just part of their like operation. We've had a lot of teams come and kind of see how we do it. And they like every time are like, wait, how do you do this? And I'm like, it's just like our in-park numbers were always so much higher than everyone else. So that's why at the beginning of the year, it was really hard for us not to sell to fans in park. We had to sell online only, obviously with the COVID restrictions, but now we're back. Everything's kind of back to normal for our 50-50, which is great. So and be able to add the online component for us has been great. So especially on the guaranteed jackpot days. So we always try and be really innovative with our 50-50. And that's where kind of Queen of Hearts came along. The company that does like the behind the scenes of the 50-50, they came to us and, we had gone to them a couple years ago and said, there's this thing, a lot of like South Side bars and churches do it. We want to do it, but how can we because, we don't have people gathering at the ballpark like every Tuesday to draw a card. So we knew we really couldn't do it in person. So we challenged them with like, how do we do it electronically? So they actually came to us in early 2020 and said, we've got it. We know how to do it. But then the pandemic happened and we just felt like we didn't know what was going on at that point. So we kind of saved it and then launched it, as everyone knows, this past January, and it's been great. So the jackpot's over like 215,000. We draw every Friday. People are really starting to get into it. So, whoever wins, whenever the Queen's drawn, we're at week 28. So we're just past halfway. So for us, we hope it goes all 52 weeks, because that would be awesome. But we're also really excited for whenever it gets drawn, because that'll be a fun phone call to make to the person who wins over $100,000. Like, who doesn't want to get that phone call?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
awesome.
I think we'd all be happy to get that call.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. So,
and who doesn't believe us and thinks we're scamming them when we say you've won $100,000?
Yeah, first.
Yeah, like Publishers Clearinghouse, right?
Yeah. So for all the great work that White Sox Charities does, what's the most satisfied that you personally have ever been from the way something went or how things turned out for the charity?
Oh, that's a great question. I'm trying to think. We've done a lot of really cool things. Probably, I guess I'll say two, because so my job is so fundraising focused. So when we did our first guaranteed jackpot, it was against the Cubs. Actually, I guess it wasn't the first. We'd done a small one earlier in the season. We were trying to test it out. It went well. We started, I think, at 20,000. Yeah, because it was Jim Thome Day, and we wanted to do 25,000. And everyone's like, oh, I think that's too much. That's too much, 25 for Jim Thome. Well, let's do 20,000. Okay, so we end up getting over $50,000. So that's great, whatnot. So then the next game rolls around. It's Cubs Sox. There's a lot of discussion internally of how much do you think we could do? In a normal Cubs Sox game, we do about $75,000 of just in-park sales without the online. So the jackpot's normally around 75. So we said, okay, let's do 50. I think we're pretty comfortable with 50. We'll have these online sales. So my fiance at the time, now husband, it was his birthday. So I was actually going to the game as a fan. And, we're all having a good time, whatnot. And I look at my phone and it's 50,000 and 100,000. We haven't even gotten into the ballpark yet. And I'm I think it's 150,000 and gates are open, but the game hasn't started. And I'm something's got to be broken, right? Someone's scamming us or have hacked into our system and is buying all these invalid 50-50 tickets. So then I go into my office. I tell my friends and my fiance, I'm I gotta run in and work. My fiance's I thought you'd have to work today. I'm I don't. I just have to go check something. So I go check. Every transaction's valid, and it just keeps jumping and jumping and jumping by tens of thousands the whole game. And I'm something clearly has to be wrong. So then we're at $300,000, and I'm oh my gosh, and then I'm just praying that everything's gone okay, and So then I was talking to the person who kind of runs it day to day for us. And I was how's everything going? She's the problem is we don't have enough sellers. They're getting swarmed on the concourse. So I said, well, here, I'll come help. So I'm dressed as a fan. I have a White Sox t-shirt and jeans on, and I'm
nice.
Selling and taking people's money, and people are giving me the money. And I'm thinking in my head, I don't really know if this is but people were trusting me. I mean, I had an ID on and everything, but like people are just handing me 20s, like wanting to buy more tickets. So it ends and we were at like 370,000, if I remember correctly. And that was when I really realized like the potential of the 50-50 raffle. People were like hooked. And then we got to make the call to say, hey, you won. And that's awesome. And the person who won was a single mom who was really wanting to, buy a house for her and her son. And it obviously significantly helped with that. So that was really, really, really cool from like a fundraising standpoint, because it just we just saw the potential and how much Sox fans got into it. And then the second thing from like the outreach standpoint is a couple of years ago, I guess it was 2019 now, we did for Sox Serve Week, which is our week-long week to kind of get back to the community. We did a Miracle League game on the field. So the Miracle League is a baseball league for kids with disabilities. And before I lived in Chicago, I was really involved with the Miracle League in other cities. So we did a game for them in the outfield, and we did full uniforms, like pants, belts, helmets, hats, jerseys with their name on it, everything. And then we had each one of the kids like submit headshots for the video board. We had them all do an at-bat song. So we have kids coming up to, I think Justin Bieber Baby was big that year. And what were some of the other songs? Baby Shark. And then one kid came up to Jingle Bells because that's his favorite song. It was awesome. It was my favorite event we've ever done easily from like an outreach standpoint. Lucas Giolito and James McCann were the players that came out. Jason Benetti came, and it was just to see the kids, like they just were treated like major leaguers. Like they had the full uniform and everything, but the at-bat music is really what kind of sealed the deal. Cause it was like just hearing what they picked, like Jingle Bells was like my favorite. So
yeah, I would have never thought of that as a walk-up song, but that's got to be really cute to see in person.
So that was my favorite.
We're going to hand it over to Gonzo, Chris Gonzalez, for the next question.
Yeah, hi, Sarah. I just want to say, thank you for taking time out of your schedule to join us tonight. We are really grateful to have White Sox Charities on with us tonight. And really just with all the hard work you do with the others, it really reflects on the Chicagoland area, and we appreciate it. Now, the Field of Greens is the White Sox charity golf outing and is coming up on August 16th. Could you tell us a little bit about that by chance?
So that is our celebrity golf outing. So we have people, fans and sponsors and stuff like that can purchase foursomes. We're at Edgewood Valley Country Club in LaGrange this year, a beautiful, beautiful course that, from what I understand, is a pretty hard course to play at as far as to get access to. So we're excited to be there. Modelo is our presenting sponsor. And then each foursome is paired with a White Sox celebrity. So normally it's current and former players. With all the COVID protocols, we're not able to have current players this year. So it'll be all former players. But they play with you all day long. So you have a fifth golfer and also kind of someone fun to talk to as well. But yeah, we've been doing the Field of Greens for a long time. That's one of kind of our signature fundraisers.
All right. Well, thank you for that. I'm sure all of us here are looking forward to all these great outings coming up. Another question I have for you. What former White Sox continue to have a big role in the Chicago community? At least that, without their role being like more highlighted than what the casual fan might see.
Like a former player, I'm trying to think that does. A lot of our former players do a lot. Ron Kittle definitely does the most. Ron Kittle loves going out to the community, which I think anyone that's seen him in an event knows how much he loves going to community events. So he definitely does the most to give back. He has his own charity that gives back a lot. A lot of our former guys are all, it depends. Like some are a lot more local than others. But, we have a really good group. So a lot of them will call and ask for them to come in for something, to record something. They'll still do it even though they're not local. But as far as like physically going to stuff, I definitely say Ron Kittle, just because he's local, he lives locally. But like Bo Jackson, Jim Thome, they still do a lot. But yeah, Kittle, I think definitely does the most.
Yeah, I see a lot of because Kittle has his own Facebook page, and I see him always talk about charities in the group page.
Yeah, he does a fundraiser every year that he works with us and a few other charities on. So yeah, he's super, super supportive. He's one that you can ask like literally anything of and he'll do it. So.
All right. Well, I'm going to toss it back to Joe here. Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah. So first off, I just want to thank you for giving us so much time. And one last thing before you go, I got to ask, what are you thinking about the team so far this year? What's your aspirations? I mean, they're obviously the best team in the American League right now. For you, what are you looking at for the rest of the year?
I'm hoping we stay a little bit healthier than we did in the first half, just a little bit.
I'm with you.
I know that it can really get worse. But I mean, it's just been fun because it's such a fun team to watch. Like we lost so many major pieces and we're still playing good baseball and like just fundamental good baseball, which is from a fan standpoint, so encouraging to watch. So I'm excited. I'm obviously I think with anyone, like if we didn't advance in the playoffs, that would be a, disappointing year for a lot of people. I don't like to get too far ahead of myself because I'm just more of a don't want to jinx it kind of person. So, but yeah, I hope to be playing. We'll put it this way. I hope that we're still playing baseball when it starts to get cold here in Chicago. So we are 100% agreement. So that could be next week. Like, let's be honest. So,
probably,
but I'm hopeful that we're playing and we're wearing, warm clothes. So that would be the goal. And it's just, I mean, I kind of felt bad for like the Dodgers last year when like they didn't get to play in front of like their home crowd at all. Yeah. Like that stinks. So like, I'm just glad that, I mean, knock on wood, we stay at 100% capacity and we don't go backwards in that sense. And that when we're in the playoffs, we actually get to play in front of like our own fans, or really any fans at this point would be nice. But our own fans is just, that's, I think, what I'm most, and that's why I got into sports, is because I love the fan aspect of it and how it could really like just transform a community by a sports team. So to be able to do that, and that's one of the reasons I don't like the Super Bowl, because you never have like your home team,
Right. Except last year, which was a freak accident.
Yeah, exactly. But even then, like it's all like corporate people who are buying those tickets. It's not even like the general fan, and that's what I don't like. So the Super Bowl, like believe me, I love the Super Bowl. I love the food and everything that goes with it. But the one thing I don't like about it is the neutral site for the most part. So
absolutely,
yeah. There's nothing homey about the Super Bowl. That's for sure. I'm with you there. But before we let you go, just give one last go through. Where can people, if people want to donate to White Sox Charities, where should they go? Last little blurb from you before we let you go, and thank you so much for all your time.
Thank you. So WhiteSoxCharities.org has anything and everything, and we are on Facebook and Twitter at Sox Charities. So definitely follow us there. We post lots of content on kind of what's going on. Anything that gets announced, it gets posted there quickly. But yeah, just thank you to all the fans. Like, I mean, fans are what power White Sox Charities. We say this all the time. Like, if our fans didn't support us, we would not have White Sox Charities. The cool thing about White Sox Charities is we're so fortunate to work for Jerry Reinsdorf, and he and the White Sox cover all of our administrative costs. So 95 cents of every dollar goes straight to the community, which I challenge people to find a nonprofit that has a higher, because really our only expense is like accounting type fees that you have to file taxes and you have to pay someone to do that for you. And there's like a few, kind of doing business type things like taxes and credit card fees. But like beyond that, those are only expenses. So every dollar you use to support White Sox Charities goes right into the community, which is a really cool part of it. But yeah, White Sox Charities Day, Wednesday, tune in. They'll start talking about it on the pregame show, but the phones go live at 7. Phones and website go live at 7. So whitesox.com/charities day. Information is already on our website, so you can start checking it out there.
Very cool.
That's pretty awesome. So again, Sarah, thank you so much for all your time. We hope to see you at the ballpark at some point this summer, and let's go White Sox.
Sounds good.
Good luck with everything coming up the rest of the year.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. All right. Take care now.
Thanks, sir.
Guys, that was Sarah LaPorta from White Sox Charities. Talk about amazing work that this organization truly, really does, and making a difference in the community. It's huge. And for those of you who don't know Sarah, she's the director of Community and Charitable Programs for Sox Charities. and just an all-around great person for a great organization. So it was absolutely great getting to talk with her. Gentlemen, before we get to the rest of the show, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and then we will be right back. So we will see you quickly after this commercial break. So hang with us. We will be right back.
Hey guys, it's Peggy Kaczynski. I retired early from my 20-something career as a sportscaster, covering the Bulls, the Bears, the Blackhawks, the Cubs, the White Sox, and really every other college and high school team in Chicago. So what do you do after that? Well, you start a podcast. That's what I did with my teenage son, Jason. And the result is The Sportscaster and Her Son. Yes, I'm the baby boomer, a mom. We don't get along. We don't have a lot in common, but we both share a love for sports. And we always have great sports conversation. Even better, our guests in the interviews. So come check us out. We're on Podbean and the Barroom Network, or really wherever you get your audio. The Sportscaster and Her Son podcast. See you there.
And we are back after that quick commercial break. A huge thank you again to Sarah LaPorta from White Sox Charities for hanging with us so long and giving us all that great info. A ton of good stuff. But gentlemen, let's get to the rest of our show. Let's talk some White Sox baseball. We got a game going on right now, but before we get to that, let's talk about the Astros series. Taking 2 out of 3 from the big boys. First game was a bit of a dud, but the other 2 were absolute gems. Zim's got it pulled up for us. I'm going to pull up the scores. But while I do this, Zim, why don't you talk a little bit about your thoughts on what you took away from the series?
Well, we had a little bit of a game 1 loss. That slide coming out of the All-Star break didn't look great. But, I mean, the 2 bounce backs were huge. Super, super necessary for this team to kind of just show that they can contend with the guys that, matter most. Which is, the Astros. They're the class of the American League to an extent right now, and they haven't been able to get it done against them so far this season. So to really bury them 10-1 and then go out the next day and, throw up a shutout on them, that's really, really satisfying to see.
Yeah, how about you, Vinny? I know you saw a lot out of this team the last 2 games of that series. But what changed from game 1 to game 2? That this team, they just look like a completely different squad.
Yeah, I was at Friday's game, and I wasn't worried or mad after the loss. Not even a little bit. Some people were freaking out because it was and I get it. It was the 5th straight to the Astros loss. And, as Zim mentioned, they're the cream of the crop in the American League. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that their core has won. Regardless of what you think about how they won, they won. They have that World Series experience. And, Bregman's hurt, but they have him and Altuve and Correa, and it's just a team that is experienced. So if they have the same record as the White Sox, teams are naturally going to be more scared of them. So it was good to see them bounce back in games 2 and 3, but Lance McCullers just pitched so well on Friday that the White Sox weren't hitting him. They had a 1-0 lead after the first 2 pitches, because Anderson and Moncada had doubles on the first 2 pitches of the ball game. And then they didn't have another hit till the 9th inning. That's going to happen every now and then. You're going to get shut down by another team's ace. He'll get top 10 Cy Young votes. That's how good he's been. And it's just one of those games that they lost. And they came out and fired on all cylinders in games 2 and 3. So they can beat the Astros. Both teams are going to get their punches in throughout a 7-game series or whatever you may have later on in the season.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And Gonzo, in this series, the last 2 games, we had stellar pitching performances. You got Lucas Giolito throwing a complete game, and then of course Carlos Rodon throwing an absolute gem, seven innings, one hit ball yesterday. What kind of damage can this team do if they can keep this pitching up going the rest of the season?
Well, first I want to say it's really the 3 games, because Cease had a hell of an outing on that first game. The offense just didn't show up for him, and I really want to see, because going in, I know like with the White Sox Weekly we did last week, I didn't think, or I said that Keuchel was going to be taken out, and I didn't know that Cease was going to go in that first game. I thought he was going to go in that third game possibly. So the fact that he was thrown in that very first game to start the second half, and it was versus a contender, hell of an offensive lineup, and Cease just, he came out and showed what he can do, and that's what I want to see out of a guy that I consider as the highest potential in our rotation right now. But even going into games 2 and 3, we just saw the dominance of Giolito, and especially Giolito. I mean, he's a guy that struggled in the first half, and if he can take that performance through the rest of the second half, he's really going to have to push Rick Hahn on giving him an extension too, as we just saw Lance Lynn got, rightfully so. And then with Rodon, he didn't have a All-Star appearance, an outing in that, All-Star game. And he really showed us his All-Star performance versus one of the hottest lineups in the American League, only giving up 1 hit through 7 and striking out 10. He was dominant. Now, there's some, I'm not going to say it's for sure, but there's something up with that Astros team away from their ballpark, their home ballpark at least. Who knows if, that's true or not, but they looked completely different when they came here to the rate. And I'll say one thing, I'm definitely expecting this series in October, Astros and White Sox. They're going to have Correa and Bregman back, and we're going to have Robert and Eloy back. Hopefully both teams come into it healthy, and we can see some really great baseball. And gosh, yeah, I mean, I'm so hyped for the second half. That was a statement series. Let's just say it. I mean, it's a statement series. Sets us up perfectly for the second half of baseball. And it's a little upsetting that we lost game 1 of the doubleheader today, but I'm definitely psyched for what's to come for this ball club.
Yeah, and that's where I was going to go with my next point, is that we lost this first game of the doubleheader. Lance Lynn throws a absolute gem. Absolutely wasted. 7 innings. He only gave up 1 run. How many hits did he give up? 5 hits, 4 strikeouts. I mean, it's all you could ask for. It was, Garrett Crochet, hit a rough, I wouldn't say rough, but not his greatest outing. At the end of the day, they ended up losing that game in what ended up being a heartbreaker, and that's one of those games that you really wish you can get back. I know it's only 1 game, but it's against the Twins, it's a division rival. All we can hope is that they split and they can get this win tonight. One of the stranger things, Vinny, is that they called up Reynaldo Lopez, and he got the start tonight going into this second game. Why do you think that was the case?
Yeah, I honestly couldn't tell you, because when I saw Kopech come in yesterday, I was stunned. And then he only went 1 inning, and I was like, okay, he could still start tomorrow. He threw like 15 pitches. But that's not the case. He is available today. But Matt Foster is about to come in right now to relieve Lopez. But I just couldn't believe it. And he didn't play like bad. He gave up a solo home run and a couple hits in the first inning. But I didn't think that his play in AAA warranted to be the guy to come up and start a doubleheader. But he wasn't that 27th man today. Foster was. So for whatever reason, they felt he was the guy to come up in place of, some injured players. So.
Do you think that they're trying to showcase him for some sort of trade?
Absolutely.
They might be, but I mean, who would want him right now? His ERA in the AAA is awful.
But if you're gonna, for these rentals, if you're gonna give up a mid prospect, that's your Lopez right there.
Yeah, 100%. The second or third piece.
So you want to try to get his value up. I could see why they would have done that.
Yeah, I mean, that's, you gotta ask a lot of those weird things in your brain, especially this time of year. Also worth calling out, guys, not that it means anything, but Adam Frazier not in the lineup tonight for the Pittsburgh Pirates. Does that mean anything? Probably not, but who knows? Maybe he's getting traded. So just something else to keep an eye on in that respect.
And also with Kopech, he is on a innings leash, so that might be playing.
But they said he was off the leash now. Didn't they say he was off the leash the other day, Vinny? I could have swore I read that somewhere.
Yeah, they said he's going to start working more, and he told the reporters yesterday that he's hot for tomorrow, which I think is Michael Kopech for I'm available.
I mean, we're going to touch on this more later, I'm sure, but like, look at the injuries that this team sustained so far this season. Do you really want to risk guys that are actually going to be important in October, or do you want to risk Reynaldo Lopez? You know, like, don't push a guy back too early. Yeah, it gives you a chance to showcase him, but more importantly, it saves the guys that are actually important to this team. And that's not to diminish Reynaldo Lopez, you know, as a player. It's just he's not the guy you're going to hand the ball to in October. Michael Kopech very well could be.
100%.
You're not wrong. You're certainly not wrong. But gentlemen, let's dive in to our first segment of the show. It's our favorite one. We talk about the old man. You know who he is. Let's dive in. Here we are in this week's LaRussa's Locker. And gentlemen, LaRussa had a pretty good week. I mean, you can't argue with too much about what he had to say, but I really just wanted to applaud him in this segment for his use of Giolito and Carlos Rodon the last couple days. You know, letting Gio go at that complete game on Saturday, and then letting Carlos absolutely dominate for 7 innings, and then letting Kopech and Hendricks kind of sweep up and make it all nice and tidy. So I love what he's doing right now with his starters. Hopefully they can get in a real groove here getting into the second half. Even Lance Lynn today going 7 looked really, really good. Steven Zimmerman, is there anything specifically that you want to talk about on this week's LaRussa's Locker?
This right here, right now, is what you hired Tony La Russa for. We've all been critical of him at points throughout this season. I'm not going to pretend like I haven't questioned some decisions that he's made, but you brought in a Hall of Fame World Series champion to do something with this team. And this is what it is. It's to take this team that is, 19 games over 500 before the finish of this game right now. They are 19 games over 500. They are in the best position they've been in since the last time they won the World Series. They are about to make a very strong playoff push with their 2 bright young stars coming back. This is why you have Tony La Russa, to manage these guys, to put them in positions to succeed, to take them out of the All-Star break and into the playoffs. It's an extension of what I was talking about before with the management of the players, with, you know, risk the guys that you got to risk, make sure your stars stay healthy, right? Tim Anderson is not playing in this second game of this doubleheader. It's exactly, I think, for the reason that I brought up before. He wants to keep these guys healthy. We suffered too many freak injuries early in the season. We're done with that now. You're protecting these guys at all costs. You're not having a Derrick Rose knee blowout in overtime of an already lost game. You're not having Eloy Jimenez hanging off the wall in a game that doesn't matter. You know, you're getting these guys primed up and ready to roll and ready to fight. And that's, like I said, that's what La Russa is here for. Now is when we see whether this hire is going to pay off or not. The season before this doesn't matter. The talent was going to get you to this point.
Dude, I love everything about that, Zim, that you just said. That's totally on point. I just got to throw it to Gonzo because he hates the TA sitting in the second game. So Gonzo, I'll let you talk to that and other La Russa Locker items that you have.
Yeah, I mean, I could see where Zim's coming from. I agree with that. Maybe we do see Timmy come off the bench for some at bats at the end of the game, get some ending game reps. But he's so on fire that I would rather him. If that's the case, I'd rather him sit game 1 versus Jax and then have him get those important reps in game 2 versus their best pitcher in Brios. That's just what my thoughts were when I saw that he was out of lineup for game 2. But who knows what's going on behind the scenes. But that's my take on it. But I absolutely do agree with where Zim's coming from too. And then what I do also want to bring up, granted, with the doubleheader 7-inning game, so going into the extra innings, it's awful that Lynn had such a great outing. The offense wasn't there for him. It's a tie game, so we go to extra innings and we have to deal with the extra inning rules. And Crochet, he started off rough, but what I like to see out of Crochet, I'm not sure if you guys noticed it, but his velocity was where it was at. It seems like he's healthy. His velocity is up. That's what I really want to see at this point in the season. And when I was watching game 1 in the car, and I couldn't see the Minnesota batting order, but the criticism I do have that I saw in game 1 for Tony is Crochet just struck out, who was that? Lenarg, I think it was, for 1 out. And then he takes him out of the game to go against Cruz, puts Burr in. But then after Cruz was Polanco, a left-hander. Granted, Cruz did, hit a fly ball for a sac fly to go up 2-1, but then Polanco, righty versus lefty, he hits a single to extend the lead to 3-1. And I don't know why Tony, because I don't know why with what Crochet was working with, especially right after that strikeout when he's all amped up, I'd rather leave him in. I don't care what Cruz did because I'd rather have the lefty-lefty matchup after him. And who knows what Cruz would have done. Crochet is tough. When his stuff is on, I couldn't care if in a righty-lefty. I'd rather see Crochet in there, especially in a high-leverage situation. I'd rather him stay in there and see what he can show us. But yeah, that's what I got for the LaRussa's locker.
All right. I got one more for you guys to add on, and this might be something we touch on a little more next week as well. But if you're Tony La Russa, what do you do with Eloy Jimenez coming back? Like,
I know
do you
Vinny's
put him in
got
right
an opinion on
field?
this.
He's 24. You can't put him at the DH. That's just admitting that he's a failure. Like, you got to do something with him.
Well, real quick before I give it to Vinny, Eloy they asked him this question when he was during his rehab assignment, and he says that he wants to play in the outfield. He does not want to DH. So I'll preface it with that. But Vinny, the floor is yours.
He's gonna play the outfield.
Well, yeah.
There's no doubt in my mind he's going to play left field, even though he's the worst outfielder I've ever seen in the history of the sport. Like, if it affects his hitting, they're going to let him play the outfield, and they're just going to say, dude, there's a circle out there. You stay in that circle. The balls over here are for Robert. Even though they're closer to you, you let Robert get them. Or Billy. Late in games when Billy's playing, he probably won't be either. It'll probably be Angle or something. But
right.
Don't hang off a fence, especially in a home run that you have no chance of catching in a game that doesn't count. There are just so many things that, like, I can't believe in my brain that he's that uncoachable to not do that stuff anymore. Stop jumping into fences and landing in the seats and, diving for balls you have no chance for. I believe he's got to be smart enough of an athlete to be able to listen to a coach on those kinds of things, just so he can continue playing the outfield.
Yeah, man. Good old Eloy, man. I think to make him happy is the most important thing. And I think this guy, he's going to learn from his injury. I personally do think he will learn. So
he's got
I just can't wait to get him back. If he doesn't learn, he's dumb, but I know he's not dumb. So he's going to learn. He's going to come back. You think he's dumb?
I think he's kind of dumb. Yeah.
In the field, he's dumb.
Yeah. He's just like a goofball. Like, he thinks it's funny.
Yeah.
And like it is sometimes, but like when Yelich hits an inside the park home run because you're having a smoke in the seat, like, no.
You're having a smoke in the seat.
He literally sat there while Yelich is running.
I know he was
No,
He was like it looked like a cot, like he was like Homer Simpson in his backyard.
Yeah, I think Eloy's kind of dumb. I hope I'm wrong.
So okay,
Hopefully he learns.
you put Eloy back in left field. Now what do you do with Andrew Vaughn?
Right.
You put him in right field? Do you trust him in right field?
Yeah, 100%. I trust Andrew Vaughn. If Andrew Vaughn wanted to pitch, I'd be like, all right, Andrew Vaughn.
No,
Have you guys seen some of the catches he's made this year? He's been pretty damn good.
Yeah,
No, I'm not saying that by any means. I'm just saying like left field was already a new position for this guy. Do you trust this guy to learn 2 new positions in one season just because your left fielder's an idiot?
Yeah, I mean, it's a loaded question.
It's you're basically, taking one guy who's a mediocre at best outfielder, but a great hitter, and taking this guy who's a stud first baseman, maybe a half a step down from the guy as a hitter, but head and shoulders above him as an outfielder, right? And you're asking him like, hey, we're going to completely derail your career because this guy just came back and is healthy.
Right. Yeah, it's interesting. And, Vincent Tassone in the chat room, it's kind of along the lines of what we're talking about. What does our outfield look like when we get Eloy and Robert back? Who's in right field? Well, I think we're going to find that out here. And it's part of the conversation a little bit later about the trade deadline. But, Robert's going to be playing center. I'd be surprised if he's not. I guess it depends on his legs, but they're not going to bring him back unless he's healthy. And then, for me personally, I think you keep Vaughn in one of the outfield positions. I mean, I'd say keep him in left. And what do you put Eloy in right? Am I crazy with that, guys?
Eloy's going to DH at some point too. Like he'll do.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but it's got to be part-time. Like he's 20. Yeah. I reiterate, he's 24 years old.
Yeah.
You're not going to put Eloy in right field. You're never going to see that.
No.
Right field is he's got to be your best arm.
Right.
So you're going to have to get back to what Vincent.
Do we have a best arm?
I'm looking at Vinny and I see Vincent on the board here, but to go with what Vinny was saying, Eloy has been a clown out in the outfield and left field over the past year. And I was very disappointed when he made that clownish, act out in left field in spring training, because to go, earlier that week in spring training, when I was watching the games pretty closely, I was rather surprised by Eloy's glove in left field. He made 2 amazing catches that I saw.
He was looking good for a minute there.
He was looking promising. I'm not sure if Sox fans remember back then in March, but I was actually rather impressed by Eloy and the progression that he was making until I saw what he did on the left field fence. But if he can come back and show that progression again, I'd be a little bit more comfortable seeing him in left field. But I would also hope that either Andrew Vaughn or Billy Hamilton's in left field later in the game, and then you put Eloy at DH late in the game. Right field, you're probably going to see a mixture of Engel, Sheets, and whoever they're going to make a trade for. I think they should make a huge trade for a right field bat that has a decent glove. That would be my priority. But
Gonzo, I found some really, really good footage of Eloy playing some outfield during his rehab stint. So let's take a quick look. Let's see what we got.
Yeah. I really thought that you were going to show me a highlight of Eloy making that one, a great grab, and now I get this.
Oh, he already has an air.
Does he really?
Yeah, he has an air in AAA.
Oh man.
You hate to see.
Well,
I was just trying to make a joke that he's a clown in the outfield, but
Yeah. But Vincent, I hope that we'll get to this in guaranteed take, and hopefully I can answer your question a little bit better if I haven't already answered it a little bit right then and there.
Mitch Garver with a solo shot to put the Twins up 3-1. By the way,
yeah, he is seeing something tonight, man. That's his second blast to the same exact spot on the same pitch.
If Vaughn isn't in left field, I'll see him at DH, and I don't know what Abreu's actually ages, but I'm assuming that Vaughn will be at first base within the next 2 years.
Yeah.
But I'm interested to see what Eloy can do. As much as I would want to see him, as a DH. He's just too young, and I hope he proves us all wrong, just like Tim Anderson did when he was making errors left and right at shortstop.
It's fair.
And the
He
greatest.
really came around, yeah.
There's another
shortstop.
example, too, that some people aren't going to like that I bring up because this is a White Sox show, but Kyle Schwarber was god-awful at the outfield, too. And now he's serviceable out there. He can make the routine catch, and
He's nothing to write home about in the outfield, but he's an average player. You know, what's his plus WRC? It's got to be right around 100, right?
yeah, exactly.
And to go to this next segment, I can tell you this.
Oh, no.
Fernando Tatis Jr., his glove is quite the dud.
Oh, I see what you did there.
You suck.
You suck.
Stupid, lousy, no excuse.
What a dud. What a total dud.
Yeah, so during the Adam Dudd segment, we always talk about the players that stunk up the place last week. I got to toss to Zim, though, because Zim is reacting to something that I don't know what's happening, and his face looks horrified.
Matt Foster just took a hard line drive off of his throwing arm. I'm not sure where. It looks like it might have hit him in the elbow. I thought it was the head at first, the way
So
he
did
threw
I.
it.
So did I.
That's why I cringed so hard, but it looks like it might have just been off of his elbow or his tricep. Kind of hoping it was off the meaty part of his arm and he's okay. It looks like he might be, but it looked really, really nasty at first.
Yeah.
Is it AAA?
No, he's
What?
pitching right now in the game.
Okay,
He was brought up for today's doubleheader.
I forgot that they sent him down and picked him back up for the doubleheader. Okay.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
He's throwing out some test pitches right now. He looks like he is trying to tell everybody he's okay. We'll see what the trainer says, but I'm sorry. We're on to the Adam Dudd of the week. Sorry for
That's
that.
all
little
right.
scare,
Here we
everybody.
are. That's all right. I had to figure out what was going on, so thank you. But obviously, there were some guys that really stunk up the place this week. Me personally, I think I'm going to go to Aaron Bummer, just because he pitched a third of an inning. He gave up 2 hits, 4 earned runs, and he walked a guy. Just things were not going his way. And I guess you can't even say it was a full week. It was a 3-game series. But, Bummer just didn't have the stuff last week. So he's my nominee for the Adam Dudd of the week. Vinny, how about you?
That's tough. I was thinking about saying Bummer myself, but my Adam Dudd of the week, I think I'm just gonna go with Reynaldo Lopez because of the way he started this game, and right when he started, I was like, this is not good. He got out of it kinda. He only gave up 2, and it looked like it should have been 5, but it just feels like they haven't had a chance to win this game ever since he stepped on the mound. So that's who I'm going to go with on short notice.
I love it. Steven Zimmerman, who's your Adam Dudd of the past week, or 3 games anyway?
The same guy who was my he won me my my first player of the week in a while, and that's Andrew Vaughn. Vaughn has just been stinky lately. As much as I was just defending him, over Eloy Jimenez to an extent, he's not had a great stretch these last handful of games.
He almost won game 1.
Yeah, but almost only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades. And as cliche as that is, there's a reason it's a cliche.
Yep.
Yeah, just to put it in perspective, Vaughn's stats from the last 7 days, aka last 3 games, 1 for 15 with 0 RBI and 0 runs scored. So tough stretch here for our buddy Andrew Vaughn, but he'll get through it. He'll power through it per usual. Gonzo, who's your stinky dud? Who's your Gonzo turd of the week?
It's a guy that I don't see why he's on a major league roster right now, but I'm gonna go with Jose Ruiz. When we need outs from you, and you still can't get me outs, and Tony puts you into some interesting situations to prove yourself, and you continue to fail. I'm being pretty hard on Jose Ruiz, but this is a ball club that is pushing for October, and we need all the arms in our bullpen as possible right now. And he's not cutting it, and I'm sure Han's going to get that fixed within the next week and a half.
I imagine something's happening. And speaking of trades and speaking of duds, before he got sent down, Yermin Mercedes was a dud. Vincent Tassoni's got a question. What about Yermin? Do we trade him, bring him back up, send him down? What do you guys think? I think it's a great question because Yermin, obviously the guy can hit, but he got in a weird funk and he just couldn't escape out of it. Vinny, I'll look at you first. What do you think happens with Yermin Mercedes?
If someone offers something for him, you do it. But as of right now, I would just keep him exactly where he is. Let him keep getting at bats, and if he gets hot, then you call him up when someone gets hurt. But for now, I just leave him where he is.
Gonzo?
I'd be very surprised to see him back up with the major league team. That all he has is his bat. He doesn't offer anything more. And I just think there's better bats to bring up than Mercedes. So I don't think we're going to see him. Thank you, Yermin, for basically the month and a half of baseball that he gave to us. And he was huge. He was huge to the White Sox, and we appreciate that. But you're only as good as your production. And right now, you're not. He's not cutting it. And thank you. And well, hopefully, we see you succeed again. But it might not be with us.
I think.
Yeah. Go ahead, Zim.
Okay, I was just gonna say, I think that you either see, if you see Yermin Mercedes back in the majors this season, it's for one of two reasons. It's either as a September call-up or it's in another uniform. I think he could very easily be a toss-in player in a trade. Not a guy that you're trying to, shop around, but they're like, oh, I want this guy and this guy. And you say, I can't give you that guy, but I can give you Yermin Mercedes. You know what I mean?
Well, I think the real important question that no one's even asking, and Vince is really curious about this as well, being a Bridgeporter, but is the Yerminator burger still on the menu at Freddy's?
That is the question, because when I come out there in August, I want to try it. It sounded really, really good. And I'm going to be really, really mad if it's not still there.
It was good. I cried.
I know. They're going to have to rename it to something else. Maybe the Burger they'll call
Jake
it. Who knows?
There you go. The Jake Burger.
It'd be a little weird with all those
Jake Burger
spices inside of it, though.
Or what you do is you get the lamb burger. You got to get the Jake Lamb, the Lamborghini. Maybe he's in a rehab assignment. He'll be back soon.
He had a home run.
Real quick, while we're talking about catchers, I didn't want to skip over the fact that we did acquire a catcher last week. For all of you who missed it, the Sox acquired catcher D.V. Grulon from the Rays in exchange for cash considerations. He's obviously it's a depth move, but for something that didn't cost us any players and just cost us some money, we need depth. I have no issues with it. Vinny, do you know anything about Grulon and what kind of player he is?
To be honest, I don't. I'm always scared to make trades with the Rays. But, I guess to have an extra body there that could catch so Danny Mendick doesn't have to do it at any point is a good idea. So I'm all cool with the trade. Like I said, though, anytime you make a trade with the Rays, you wonder if you traded away Glasnow or, right. Those lines. So
we traded away cash.
Yeah, exactly.
Cash money.
Yeah, but
for those of you wondering,
that makes me think.
I was going to say they're going to use that cash money on something that'll have a 5 WAR and lead them to another American League title.
Rays also traded away Willie Adames to Milwaukee, and that's turned out to be a gem for Milwaukee.
Yeah,
true.
Maybe they're going to spend that to upgrade their trash can budget.
Ah, yes, very important stuff.
I'm sorry,
I do got to say
the Astros.
It's all good. I just wanted to say that I'm still talking about Grulon, our new catcher we acquired. His AAA career stat line hit 265 hitter with 29 homers and 574 AAA plate appearances. So not terrible. It's catching depth, and then who knows? Maybe they toss it in a trade or whatever. Who knows? But just something I wanted to put out there because technically we have made a trade. It's just not what we all wanted so far. But getting out of the Adam Dud, it brings us to the polar opposite side of the fence. Those are the guys that are ripping it up and tearing the walls down, lighting the world on fire in our Put It on the Board segment.
Way back! He looks up! You can put it on the board! Yes!
Yeah, so we had a lot of guys tear it up this week, guys. There's been a lot of hot bats. Well, there's been a lot of, not so much hot bats. There's been a couple hot bats and a lot of hot pitchers scalding down the walls. Zim, I'll let you lead things off. Who is your Put It on the Board player of the week?
I know you just talked about pitchers, but Tim Anderson. Tim Anderson all day. It's Tim Anderson. He is red hot, on fire right now. He has scored a run and gotten a hit in 11 straight games before being sat down in the second game of this doubleheader. So it's unreal the way he's playing right now. And I'm sure he's going to continue it. It's Tim Anderson.
And he's homered in 3 straight games as well, which is equally impressive.
And a hit in 16. Just a hit.
Yeah.
It makes it truly, truly impressive, especially over his last 7. Tim Anderson's hitting .412, guys. He's 7 for 17, 3 homers, as we mentioned, 4 ribbies, only 3 strikeouts, 6 runs scored. I mean, this guy is just electric. So,
and all of that without getting an at bat in the All-Star game.
Yep.
What a shame.
He played defensively for whatever reason, but
they put him in too late. They should have put him in a half an inning before they did, because anybody watching that game could see that the way that the batting rotation was going to stack up. Like, he might have gotten 2 at bats instead of the 1 that, that unwritten BS that they want to talk about, that the backups get 1 while the starters get 2 or 3. No. Play the game so that everybody gets it. The game is just for fun anyways. Thanks, Pete Rose. Make sure everybody gets a chance.
It was even worse that he was in the on-deck circle for the last out in the 9th inning.
Look, in a season where the White Sox are 19 games above 500, maybe about to be 18 games above 500, like, Sox fans got to find something to complain about. Well, congratulations, AL All-Star team. I don't even know who the manager was. Was it Aaron Boone? I don't know why that sounds right, but it probably wasn't.
It was Kevin Cash.
No, it was Kevin Cash. Yeah.
Well, good job, Kevin Cash. You just gave White Sox fans something to complain about in a season where we probably don't really have that much to actually complain about, despite what you would think about watching this show.
There you go, man. I love it. I'm going to be greedy. I'm going to go next with my Put It on the Board player of the week, because I feel like I always make myself go last. I'm going to go second this time. I'm going to go with our boy Lucas Giolito, coming out on Saturday night and absolutely tearing it up through a complete game. Gave up 1 run. He gave up 3 hits and struck out 8. He was just absolutely dominating in every facet of the game. Props to Gio for just getting it done. I mean, he looked like an absolute man on a mission, as a lot of these guys on our pitching staff do lately. But I got to give all the props in the world to Lucas Giolito. That was as fierce as it gets, and I hope he just continues to get better.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, what a great pick, to be honest. That's where I was going to go.
Well, that's okay, man. I mean, if you want to pick him too, you can. I mean, we can share the love.
No, I can send it over to a different starting pitcher, because Carlos Rodon is just magnificent.
It's filthy.
He didn't play in the All-Star game by design. We found out later that was on purpose. He probably would have played if he wanted to. And it looked worth it to have 12 days off in his start against the Astros. I mean, he shoved. He absolutely shoved. 10 strikeouts. It's it's hard to go against him at any point. It's hard to not even consider him the Cy Young favorite right now. And I know Lance Lynn is right there too, but that's my guy, Carlos Rodon.
Los on fire, baby. Chris Gonzalez, who is your putter on the board player of the week? And does he wear as many muscle cutoff tees as you do?
I actually don't know that if he does or doesn't.
Well, you have to do some research now, son.
Yeah, I'm going to probably ask his wife because she's pretty active on Twitter. But I'm going to share the love with Vinny here. And I imagine with this guy's year, he probably is wearing the cutoffs with
hell yeah,
everything going on with him and this year. But yeah, Los. This was Los's fourth start of at least 6 innings pitched with 1 hit or less. And that leads the MLB as a tie with Freddie Peralta right now. But like I said, he's leading with a tie in the MLB. Guy is unbelievable. What is there to say? But in my opinion, this might have been his best start this year, and that includes his no-hitter. But he pitched 7 innings, gave up only 1 hit to the best offense in the American League right now. Struck out 10 of those guys too while he was at it. And not only did he get the win, but it was the series win. I don't know what that series would have been like if he was on the mound dealing like he was. But he got the series win and a much needed win at that. But yeah, Los, keep it up.
I think it's time to issue another extension. We just got Lynn taken care of. Let's take care of Rodon.
Oh yeah. Man, I know.
I mean, he's having one hell of a year, but I'm still waiting with him and Giolito to see how the second half finishes here. But if I was Han, and he finishes strong, I would definitely try to give him an extension and try to deal Keuchel.
Well, so do you take the risk now and get the extension done for what could be a little cheaper, or do you wait until after he brings home, the World Series MVP, the Cy Young Award, and throws the third no-hitter in postseason history, and he costs you 5 times what he would have, And obviously, I'm just making stuff up for the point of hyperbole.
Sure.
But, it's a gamble that you've got to be considering right now because, yeah, Chris, you're absolutely right. He could fizzle out completely at this point, and you've just wasted a bunch of money. But at the same time, if he brings home that hardware, he's going to cost you a lot more.
Yeah, I'll answer. I'm real quick. I'm going to answer this because re-signing Carlos Rodon at this point is the most anti-Jerry Reinsdorf move possible. Jerry just doesn't go after guys like this that have that resurgent year, especially when it's going to command a massive contract. So this is just my opinion, and I'm sure some people on this show will disagree with me. I don't think the White Sox are even considering it at this point. I think they're just going to let him throw his lights out the rest of the season. They gave him a shot to start this year. I think that's what they're going to go with. Vinny's looking at me like I'm insane. Vinny, what are your thoughts?
I don't know who I agree with because I see both sides. I would extend him because I don't care about Jerry Reinsdorf's money even slightly. And they're nowhere near the luxury tax, and they're never going to be. And I think giving Carlos Rodon a fair deal right now, like something similar to what they gave Lynn, 2 years, it can't hurt them. It literally can't hurt them. The worst thing that could happen is they DFA him and have to pay him. Again, I don't even slightly care about Jerry Reinsdorf's money. If he has to pay Carlos Rodon to not play for him in a year from now because he stinks, I won't care. So that's why I would do it and see what happens.
Yeah, Gonzo, thoughts?
Yeah, I'll finish this up real quick. We also can't forget that the White Sox were the ones that took a risk on Rodon, getting him in arbitration. And that's something that Rodon was very surprised at with his whole process here with the organization. He was surprised the Sox kept with him. I'm sure that's going to go a long way here. But, yeah, I see Jerry writing this out. I'm not sure if Jerry will extend it, but if I was Han, I'd be in Jerry's office telling them, look, this is what we're going to do. We're going to extend Rodon. We're not going to extend Giolito. And Kopech is going to take Giolito's spot next year. And then when Keuchel is done, Crochet will come into rotation and take Keuchel's spot in the rotation. And Crochet will be ready, I'm sure, by that time. That's how I see it at this very moment.
I got it, man. Well, now that we got through that, let's get to our picks to click. I'm going to pull up last week's statistics. Last week I had chosen Jose Abreu. Not his best week. 3 for 14, 214, 4 ribbies, a home run, a run, and a walk. Gonzo went with our boy Los. 7 innings pitched, 0 earned runs, 1 hit, 10 Ks, absolutely dominant. Vinny went with Zach Collins, 1 for 6, 157, 1 homer, an RBI, 2 walks, and then Zim took, I said Carlos Moncada. Who the hell is that? Yoan Moncada. It's a brand new person I just invented. He went 4 for 15, batting .267 with a homer, 2 ribbies, and a walk. So our boy Gonzo gets the win. And as he gets the win, his internet cuts out and he disappears. So that's all right. We can just talk briefly, but we were just joking earlier. It's hard to believe, Vinny. None of us took Tim Anderson.
Yeah, we're all dumb, but that's nothing new to the listener.
Okay. But are we Eloy Jimenez dumb?
No.
Okay.
All right. I would never.
Can I pull the footage up again?
I would never dangle from a wall having my entire weight carried by my pec. No shot. Never would happen. I would understand that a ball that goes 50 feet over the fence has no chance of being caught. And I played I played baseball for a long time. I was never an outfielder. I played for 15 years, but I never played at anywhere near Eloy Jimenez's level. And I still know not to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually found some more footage of Eloy Jimenez in the outfield. It's truly impressive. Tell me what you guys think. Let's take a quick look here.
And I want Eloy to know, because I know he's watching this.
There it is.
Yes,
look, this
absolutely.
is how he fields, just like this.
Yeah, 100. Yeah, we'll lean up against the wall, grab the rat. I want him to know that I love him. Like, everything I'm saying is because I want him in the lineup so bad. I believe he can hit 50 tanks and have 120 RBIs.
Well, absolutely. I don't think there's any doubt about that we want to see the guy succeed. We're frustrated with how dumb he's been and why he's not playing this season.
Yeah, I watch Vlad Guerrero Jr. Every home run he hits, I'm like, Eloy would be doing the same thing.
Dude, absolutely.
Every single time. He has one tonight, or yesterday, I think it was. And I'm like, dude, Eloy can easily have 30 home runs by now, and the White Sox would have an even better record.
Yeah.
The first game felt like a game they win if he was there. Because they were missing that like extra hit, and you wonder if he could have provided that.
That's it. See, and this is the difference. And I know it's going to sound like I'm taking a shot at the Cubs when I say this, but this is the difference between a guy like Eloy Jimenez and a guy like Chris Bryant. Chris Bryant gets his numbers, but it's always in a position when it doesn't matter. He's the least clutch power hitter I think I've ever seen play. He'll rack up 40 home runs in a season, and you can't remember any of them actually mattering in a game. Whereas Eloy Jimenez, like you say, he's that Vladdy Jr. type guy. He's going to come in, he's going to get his numbers, but those numbers are going to matter. Those 30 home runs are going to happen, at least 10, 12 of them are going to happen late in games when you really needed that push. What do you got, Joe?
In the top of the ninth when you're leading, or in the top of the ninth when you're tied with the Cubs at Wrigley, he'll hit all 2-run home runs.
Yeah, there you go.
Like stuff like that.
We're just doing the high mom, the Eloy, like.
Oh, I got you.
Mom.
I got you.
And you got our buddy Travis saying you never go full Eloy Jimenez.
Every other Saturday night, maybe. Like, the day he comes back, he's gonna hit a tank. And after the post-game interview, they're going to dump some Gatorade on him, and he's going to yell, "Hi, Mom," at the top of his lungs, and that's where we're going to be like, we're back.
Either that or he's going to blow for like 2 weeks straight and then do what you just said.
Which is very possible. It's very possible.
Eloy is such a streaky guy. That's the other thing that you get with him. that he kind of reminds me, I guess, of like a Manny Machado type in that regard, where, you know, that's how Machado gets his numbers. He rakes for like 2-3 weeks at a time and then kind of cools off for a couple weeks. And I know that's like that's what baseball is, but like, I feel like it's more extreme with some players.
Yeah, 100%. We talked about Eloy, a player that's not currently active, while we're trying to make picks to click.
I know. Well, we're going to go ahead and I think we're just going to give Gonzo the last pick. He won, but he's not here. So let's go ahead and just make the picks, because why the hell not? We're going to go by order of who sucked the least. So let's see. I had Abreu, who went 214. So Zim had Moncada, who had 267. So Zim, you have the floor, sir. You get the first pick.
Out of all the batters, I win. And that is a good feeling. I'm Tim Anderson. Done. End of story. I literally already made my argument for him earlier. So I'm not even going to waste everybody's time just repeating myself. Tim Anderson, he's hot. He's going to keep breaking. Done. End of story.
I love it, man. Vinny, how about you?
Can I pick Adam Frazier for when the White Sox acquire him tomorrow and he first week?
No, but you can pick Trevor Story for when the White Sox acquire him.
Okay.
I mean, you could pick whoever you want, Vinny. If they're not on the team right now, I will definitely allow you to pick them.
Yeah, I'm already still trying to get my first win. I know I joined a little late, but that excuse is kind of running thin, I would say. So I'm going to go with Andrew Vaughn. He's, in my opinion, he's not quite what you would call a generational hitter, but I think he has the potential to be an elite hitter. He could be right there with Robert and Jimenez and Anderson, all of them within a year. And so guys like that just don't stay cold for too long. So I'm gonna go with Andrew Vaughn.
All right, and Gonzo, in case you're wondering, I let these guys go because your internet died. So Zim went first. He picked Tim Anderson, and Vinny just chose Andrew Vaughn for the week coming up. Who are you going with, sir, as your pick to click?
Damn, with the pick to click win, I thought I was going first, but that's okay. Zim, good job.
You were going first, but
I was going
for the purposes of our show, we let them go.
And I'm sorry, man. I had to.
Yeah.
I had to. If Joe had let anybody go first, they'd have been dumb. They'd have been Eloy not to take Tim Anderson. Yeah. So,
well, let's be honest. You have a big lead anyway, Gonzo. So it's Zim's time to shine.
I was gonna take Timmy, but I'll take Jose Abreu. Pick to click with the MVP.
All right, at least I got Jose Abreu out of it. You are breaking up.
I didn't hear that. It sounded like Billy Hamilton.
I could have sworn I heard Danny Mendick.
Oh, you heard Danny Mendick? I thought it was Billy Hamilton. Either way, same thing.
Did I hear him say Joe Borchard?
Tony
Joe Borchard doesn't even play for the Sox anymore, Gonzo. But if you want Joe Borchard, I'll put him on the board for you. It's no problem. All right, well, he took Jose Abreu. That's all right. That leaves me with a handful of choices, but I think I'm going to change things up a little bit. I haven't taken a pitcher all year long. I'm going to go Michael Kopech.
Ooh.
Very good. Very good pick.
He's probably not going to get a start, but he's definitely going to get some appearances.
Yeah.
I know it's hard to win with a reliever, but, I'm going last, so why not? I'll take a shot here. So let's do a quick little recap here. Picks to click. I'm going with Michael Kopech, Gonzo with Jose Abreu, Zim taking the Red Hot TA, and Vinny with Andrew Vaughn. A lot of stuff can happen here, boys. It's a long way to go.
Yeah.
So
Ruiz is going to come in the 7th inning of this game. So they're not even going to use Kopech when they fully planned on it. So you might get him. You might get him tomorrow, like in a game where Keuchel to Kopech, like that could work out for you.
Yeah, I'm hoping it's a week where he's well utilized. Let's just put it that way. But that's what we got for the pick to click. Gonzo's trying to get his computer together, but we are gonna move on to our next segment, talking about the week that's ahead for these White Sox. and a segment that we like to call White Sox Weekly. Yeah, that's right. Here we are for White Sox Weekly. We're going to preview the probable pitchers and the rest of the schedule coming on this week. So let's get to the nitty-gritty. Vinny, I'll let you take over talking through the schedule here briefly. I will actually, what I'll do is I'll say who we're playing, and then I'll let you chat about some of these matchups here. So let's quickly dive into that, and let's take a look. So let's see if I can get it a little bit bigger on the screen. Use my go ahead, Jim.
Super really quick. Does this game happening right now count for our picks to click for the week? For last week?
We always say it doesn't, but technically it falls within the last 7 days. So
I'm just saying, Yohan Moncada just hit a solo shot, so I feel like
give him the game, give him the home run from the second game and not the first.
There you go.
He made the pick after the first game, but before that, bomb by Moncada.
No. I'm talking for last week. Moncada was my guy last week.
Oh.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying. You're right.
Yeah.
Anderson. Well, if they tie the game, Joe might get Kopech in.
Yeah, I like that.
Oh man, so that's interesting.
Yeah. So
all right. So I think we just for fairness' sake, we have to take this game off the board. Got it. All right, and with that, I've vamped long enough for Chris to be back so that we can do our White Sox Weekly.
First off, do I sound good now?
You sound like an angel, honey.
Crystal clear.
Perfect. So I don't have Joe Borchard. I got Jose Abreu. I'm ready to rock and roll.
No, you definitely have Joe Borchard on the board.
I heard Joe Borchard.
We've all got it written down here.
All right, guys. So this week, White Sox Weekly. I'm not at Petco Park right now, so I know
figured. But thank you for that, by the way.
That's a letdown. Nor am I'm not at Tijuana, any baseball park over there either. But for this week, we got 4 games versus Minnesota, Monday through Wednesday, doubleheader today. Then we have 3 games at Milwaukee, and they're a red hot NL Central team leading their division right now. To go with the pitching matchups, as you guys saw today, it was Lynn versus Jax, and we all saw both of them pitch extremely well. And tonight we had Lopez versus Barrios. Tomorrow, Keuchel and Obar. We've seen Obar already. I think this is going to be our 3rd time seeing him, and we've got the best out of him so far, so hopefully we can keep that on a roll. And I really like the Sox chances to at least, depending on how tonight goes, they might just tie the series. We're bound to find out. But then on Game 4, we do have Cease and Pineda. I'll be honest, when I set this up in my notes, I thought the game of the series was going to be tonight with Lopez and Barrios. I thought we'd get a better performance out of Lopez, but that wasn't the case. So now here we are, finishing out this series. Hopefully the Sox do split if they don't win tonight. But the better series is this weekend, and it is going to be one heck of a weekend here for the White Sox and all those Sox Twitter fans going up to the Brewers ballpark. They're going to be in for a delight. Friday's matchup, Giolito, Hauser. I like the Sox odds in that game. Then Saturday's game, I think this is the game of the series, Rodon versus Woodruff. I know Zim missed a chance, I believe, to see Woodruff pitch because he went to that San Diego series. But then Sunday's game is Sunday Night Baseball, and that's going to be Lynn versus Corbin Burns.
It's going to be awesome.
Another amazing matchup. It's hard for me to go back and forth between the two, but I think Woodruff has been better. And I just like that Saturday's game a little bit more. But this is, hey, if the cards play in our favor, this might be a World Series matchup, possibly. I said it, and we'll see where it goes from there. But that would be a good test, too. We had a good test to start the second half with Houston with the bats, but now we're going to see the vice versa of that with Milwaukee's pitching staff. They have been hot. Yelich is starting to turn around a little bit. You don't like to see that. And I'm glad that Eloy's not in left field with Yelich batting coming up this weekend. Other than that, I'll let you boys take it away. Oh,
there's some footage of Joe Borchard, by the way.
Also, I got a note. Cruz. We didn't even talk about Cruz, but pitching to him or not. But Cruz is the hottest hitter in Minnesota's lineup. 301, 18 home runs, 47 ribbies, and an old friend of ours from Milwaukee right now, their hottest hitter, Avisail Garcia, 257, 17 home runs, 57 ribbies. But those are my hitter's notes. So go ahead, boys, take it away.
The ex-White Sox, Avisail Garcia. How quickly they become enemies.
Pretty sure I saw him tear his labrum once.
He's done it probably a few times.
I'm pretty sure he tore it here at a game in Coors Field. He went for a diving, headfirst diving catch and jacked up his arm pretty good. If I'm remembering,
it sounds pretty familiar now that I'm thinking about it.
Yeah. But
the only time Hawk ever lied to me was when he told me that Garcia was going to be like one of the White Sox next big all-stars.
Yeah, for sure. He's definitely going to be one of Milwaukee's next big all-stars. I absolutely. Yeah. So, well, with the take like that, I think it's time for us to move on to ours. Guaranteed takes of the week.
Yeah. Yeah, so this is the guaranteed take where we talk about a hot topic conversation. And it's one that Vincent Tassone and Aaron were talking about in the chat earlier. What do the White Sox need the most heading into this trade deadline? Is it an outfielder? Is it a second baseman? Is it a bullpen arm? You tell me right now, what's going on. Vinny, for you, what is this team's biggest need and why?
I would add a second baseman that can hit. I'm cool with Mendick and Garcia being defensive replacements who could also play other positions, but I would add a second baseman that adds more value to the starting lineup, because if you do that and you get Grandal back and you get Jimenez back and you get Robert back, then you have 1 through 9 places in the lineup that can hit the ball. Right field would probably end up being the worst if you start using, but I guess Adam Engel. So he's a really good player. So either way, if you get a second baseman like a Frazier, like a Escobar, then you have 1 through 9, someone who could do damage. That'll improve Tim Anderson's numbers at the top of the order. There's just so many good things that could come from adding a good offensive second baseman.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you, Vinny. I think we need a second baseman that can hit. I'm with you. I think that's the great designation there. It's like we just don't want any second baseman. We don't want, we have a couple second basemen right now that just
they're really good defensively.
We have great defensive guys, but they just can't hit. And you could argue, some people I saw on Twitter, I can't remember who it was, they were arguing that, Larry Garcia is like better than any of the available options out there. And I'm like, I don't know what this guy was smoking, but Larry's so wildly inconsistent.
There's a reason you guys laughed at me when I made Larry Garcia my pick to click one week, and why you didn't completely discredit me when I just made a joke about Trevor Story coming to the team. Like, we literally just it's not even a comparison between the two players.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, there were people in Southside Showdowns mentions earlier today comparing him to Baez. Like, I know Baez is an incredibly gifted strikeout person, and he loves to get on base at only a 280 clip. But, I mean, let's not compare him to Larry Garcia.
Okay, but that's the thing. If you could have Javi Baez instead of Larry Garcia, do you do it? I think every day of the week you do.
I would burn my
cost too much, though,
to trade them.
It would cost way too much to acquire Javi Baez.
No, I would never support it. I would never want to see it happen. But in a hypothetical, MLB The Show 21, you can have one or the other on your Diamond Dynasty team. Who do you pick? It's Javi.
Exactly.
I think if there's a major league team that wants Larry instead, they're out of their mind. But at the asking price that Baez wants, I think he wants a $200 million deal, which is just asinine for a player like him right now who's not really doing much of anything. I think I'm with Vinny agreeing that I think he's one of the most overrated players in the league. He just doesn't get on base. I'm not paying anywhere near that for Javi, and he'd be lucky if he gets traded. Let's put it that way.
He was fun for a year and a half. His flavor is worn off, and it's all about Fernando Tatis Jr. now. Speaking of White Sox trades,
I feel like that may come up later in the show.
He could be at second base right now. I'm just saying.
Yeah,
but that's a whole other thing. No, as far as like what the White Sox need, I think second base is really, really obvious. I think outfield, with the news of Luis Robert right now, has drastically slid down the list. You know what I mean? Like, you don't need that nearly as bad. But what I think that they need that we never would have expected before the season is a reliever. Before the season, we were all talking about the potential for this bullpen, and unfortunately, potential did not equal production. So now we're sitting in this awkward situation where it's like, well, if these guys can put this together, they're going to be great for the rest of the season. But unfortunately, they've been unable to this point, with a couple exceptions. But I think we're just seeing the youth and inexperience in the bullpen sort of coming to fruition right now. And it'd be nice to get, an established veteran kind of guy in there that could potentially help shake it up. And I don't know who that guy is. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to pretend like I know who the elite relievers are or the above average relievers are in this game, but
you could go for someone like Kennedy on Texas, I think is an option. Ian Kennedy, I believe his first name. He should be available. I would think you're going to pay an arm and a leg for someone like Kimbrel, but would the Cubs trade someone like Ryan Tepera or Andrew Chafin, who I think would be hilarious on the White Sox? Chafin and Lance Lynn could start a podcast about beer and country music. But, just the fact that Aaron Bummer and Cody Hoyer have been incredibly unlucky. I think the sinker ball is unlucky every now and then. Foster's been straight up bad.
Yeah.
And Tony La Russa continues to use Garrett Crochet in extra innings when he's not very good with the runner on second for whatever reason.
No, Crochet's an empty base kind of. It's pretty clear. He feels more comfortable without anybody on.
He's a starter. He's Michael Kopech Jr. Maybe with less of a ceiling, I would say, because you all know how I feel about Michael Kopech. But
I do.
I mean, Garrett Crochet is awesome, and he's 20.
Yeah,
he can't even buy a beer legally. So let's give Garrett Crochet extra innings. Not my thing for Tony. I haven't been as mean of Tony, and I didn't really get on him for that in our take today. But that was part of the reason they lost today. I just would not have used him in that situation. But
sure,
outside of Foster and Marshall, which, I agree with you, they need to go get one more guy to replace one of those two. I do think the bullpen, when it has failed, has been largely due to bad luck.
No, and there's definitely a component to that. I mean, that's just part of any sport, but baseball in particular.
Yeah.
Baseball is, there's a reason these guys are so superstitious. It's because luck plays so much more into this game than any other game. And it kind of is what it is. Unfortunately, sometimes the only way to change that luck is to shake it up a little bit. Maybe somebody needs to go burn some sage in the locker room or something.
Yeah.
They definitely do. I'll give you my take. And I'm with you guys. I think I don't think we need an outfielder. I think we need a second baseman and a middle reliever.
Yeah.
And you go ahead, Vinny.
I was gonna say it's funny to hear people say that, and I agree with you. You're like, we don't need an outfielder. When 2 months ago, if you would have said that to me, what are you talking about? We don't need an outfielder. Jimenez and Robert are on the shelf, and they might not be back for playoffs. But now, if you get them both back by, let's say, August 10th. Then you have Jimenez, Robert, Engel. Boom. Those are your three starters. You got Andrew Vaughn, who can play outfield if you need to. He might DH. Brian Goodwin has been a pretty good player. He just had a hit literally 2 seconds ago.
Great catch this morning.
Great catch, robbing that moron Josh Donaldson. Billy Hamilton has been good defensively. Leury Garcia can play some outfield. All of a sudden, if they get those two superstars back, their outfield is as deep as any outfield in the league after being so sparse for how long?
That's it. No, outfield was definitely a concern up until, literally today.
Possibly
literally
today.
Like when we kind of came on the air today is when it was kind of like, oh, this team's going to be all right for the playoffs.
No doubt about it.
And look at that, just on cue when it's his. Well, actually, I'm going to finish up my take. I was just saying how I think we need a second baseman and a middle reliever, and I think you go to the same team for them, and it's none of the guys that we have talked about recently. This is what I think. I think we're going to have our expectations for a Trevor Story, for an Adam Frazier. I think this team trades with the Diamondbacks. They get Eduardo Escobar and they get Joakim Soria in a package deal, and then they come over to the White Sox, and both of those guys fit right in this team. Soria, of course, an ex-White Sox.
Soria's is so underwhelming.
Yeah, I think that's why you get him in that trade. But I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
No, you're right. Years of being a Bears fan should have prepared me for you to say that and for that to probably be the reality of what happened.
I'd be fine with Escobar, and then you pick up a guy like Soria, and then maybe if with tossing in Soria is so cheap, you're able to get another guy out there for the bullpen.
Now, don't get me wrong. It's no expecting Russell Wilson and getting Andy Dalton, but it's not good. It's just you want to see this team do something. Eduardo Escobar is not a guy at that point in my mind. At that point, you might as well just keep Garcia. I don't
Wouldn't
see
he lead
any
the team
kind
in
of
home
upgrade.
runs right now?
I don't know.
Ray might have passed him, but he actually might.
Who cares? I'm sorry, but what have home runs done on this team? They've clearly taken a new approach at the plate this year. They've got the lowest, what is it? The lowest launch angle in the league. And it's
lack of Eloy helps with that for sure.
Well, for sure. But the fact is they're winning games without home runs. They're, following old school rules and just hit it where they're not. If they're going to shift on you, hit it to the other side or hit it through there's still gaps in that shift. Goodwin just found one 5 minutes ago.
Yeah.
They're in a shift again right now against, who is this? Gavin Sheets.
Yep.
Yeah. And nobody out, throw it on a bunt. That's what I expect from this team right now. So I don't home runs, whatever.
And then everything you say with that, you remind yourself who the manager is. And you're like,
right.
Oh, yeah, it kind of makes sense a little bit. That's how they're playing. So I agree with you.
Hey, Gonzo, we got to get to you. What does this team need at the deadline?
I actually am agreeing with you, Joe. Now, I will say I'm focusing on right field, but to get my rental at second base and a bullpen arm, I'm doing that package deal that you just brought up with Escobar and Soria. Escobar, you got a switch hitter in Escobar. It's just depth for our second baseman, and he's just better than Garcia, Mendick, anybody that you're going to put at second base.
Right.
And that's a key player. We can keep bringing up Story. I still am a little bit scared of Trevor Story with his splits away from Coors Field.
Yeah.
And Vinny,
it's an issue.
You can say all you want about USA being a hitter's ballpark, but still, even being away, I don't care what ballpark he goes to, I'm still scared that's not at Coors Field. But I always say Blackman. You can bring up the same thing about the splits, but he's still a veteran that I would still take with that left-handed bat as a rental option. I don't think he's going to cost much.
It's going to cost his contract, which I know Vinny was saying earlier. Who cares about Jerry Reinsdorf's money? But I think that's going to be the big hindrance in any kind of deal.
If Jerry is relying on Tony La Russa to bring him that ring, I don't think he's going to care what comes out of his wallet as long as he gets the job done. So, other than that,
oh no! Let's go!
Pete's just do it. Oh, I'm on a delay.
3-run jack, Gavin Sheets, walk off.
Gavin Sheets, live on the
go.
air. White Sox beat the Twins 5-3.
Holy shit, that was over the bullpen. That is a bomb.
What a moonshot.
I want to be clear here. If you're Han and you want to be really ballsy right now, go to Baltimore and get Mullins. See what it will take to see what it will take to get Cedric Mullins off of their roster. I'd be very interested in that. Or Starling Marte in Miami. give me one of those three options I just listed, and I'd be very interested to see what the Sox do the rest of the season, let alone what Gavin Sheets just did right there as a rookie to win the game.
I'm so happy to share this experience with you guys. That was so wonderful.
Oh man, what was that? Is that a sinker?
He hit that ball to Pluto.
Oh my god!
I was looking for a base hit would have won the game.
Right.
And he hit it to the duck.
Barrios' face. Look at his face when he turns around. He's
He freaked out, and Goodwin's like, "Let's go" on third base.
Because also to go off my point, correct me if I'm wrong, but did Mullins? He didn't get the reserve spot, right?
I have no idea.
I'm not sure. I honest to God don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Because that could help. I lost track of Mullins in the vote as the reserve spots went, but that could help that he didn't make it as well with what the deal might be. But I'd be willing to give, like, Steve or Kelly, one of those guys for him. Bring it all in.
I just got a Twitter message from our follower, Vincent Tassone. He says, "Holy sheets."
I love that. Even the White Sox tweet that, and that's how you know it's like a corny little thing. Like, oh, we're not gonna swear, but we're gonna say "holy sheets."
That's right. White Sox winner with the walk-off. It's fired up. The young gun, Gavin Sheets, is on, getting interviewed right now by the boys. Just unbelievable. Great stuff for the young rookie. That's what I get for benching him in fantasy today.
Oh,
you didn't bench him. You dropped him.
Don't tell anybody. Oh, wait, you just did. You told everyone that watched the show.
That's
cool.
basically the same thing. I'm not going to give you crap for
that. I mean, he had a rough couple of weeks, and last week he kind of turned it on a little bit, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I have Eloy coming back. I'm stashing Eloy, Vinny. So
very good, very good.
To Joe's credit, he dropped Sheets for Willie Adames. That was a
good move. I
was watching Willie on my watch list, but I was stashing Luis Robert too. I picked him up a week ago. So
yeah, you stashed you. I dropped Robert a while back and picked up Eloy and stashed him when I heard he was coming back, and you did the opposite of me.
Hey,
but anyway, getting things back on track. Go ahead, Zim.
Can Sheets play second base? We might have just solved the problem.
No. Played some second base.
Can he catch though? That's what I want to know.
I would actually probably assume he could catch before he could play second. If I had to pick one for him. That was
fun. That was fun to share that moment with all you guys. But I just got to say, before we get to our last segment, it's been a ton of fun tonight. Huge thanks to Sarah LaPorta for joining us. I know we're going a little bit long, but we're having a lot of fun on air tonight. But we wanted to talk about, before we get out of here, some of the best and worst Sox trade deadline acquisitions over the years. There's been a lot of them. There's been some good ones. There's been a lot of heartbreak, a lot of stinkers. There's been a lot of trades. There's been people that have been traded to the Sox that they avoided it. There's been all kinds of fun stuff. But I don't know. I'll lead it off because I feel like my best trade is going to be ripped apart by everyone else. But I think one of my, at least in terms of impacting the team, the Jeff Blum trade the White Sox made in 2005, right at the deadline, to bring the veteran to the squad. You know, he gave us a little bit of depth. And, of course, that trade alone won us a World Series game with that long, never-ending World Series game. Isn't that the one that Mark Burley came in and relieved in? Is that the wrong game?
No, that's the right one.
Yeah, so that game went on forever. I stayed up until like 3 a.m. that day. Jeff Blum with the homer down the right field line to win the game. So that's one of my favorite acquisitions, not because he was a great White Sox over the years, but he just helped impact that team in a huge way. And my worst all-time White Sox acquisition at the trade deadline is our guy.
We all know.
Big game James Shields. The innings eater. Anyone that's ever been described as an innings eater is usually not known to be a Cy Young candidate or anything along those lines. Big game James was well beyond his prime. He didn't really do any good for us. He was brought in to be a great fifth starter. He didn't really act like it. And then add insult to injury at the end of the day. Back then we didn't know, but now we do. Fernando Tatis Jr. was dealt in that game, in that package for James Shields, who you could argue now is arguably the best player in baseball. Definitely the best shortstop in baseball at the moment. Not too far behind our very own Tim Anderson. Or, I mean, not too far ahead, but still a big gap.
He's got like 25 errors on the season, man.
I mean, I'm not going to say
he's
defensively
arguably
he's
the
amazing.
worst defensive infielder like in the game right now.
He's
not
almost,
shortstop, but infielder.
He's almost as bad defensively as Derek Jeter was.
Yeah. Oh, that's a hot take too, Vinny. I like it. But I'm just going to say, when I say best, I'm just saying all around in terms of offense and everything. But Tim has been, he's been leading the league in hitting for a while, and life is good in that respect. But that's just a bad trade when you look at it. That was Kenny Williams before Rick Hahn took over the duties. But Vinny's got the finger up. That means something good's coming.
I wanted to say something. I love your pick, the first one.
Thank you.
I almost said Gavin Sheets. He's on my mind clearly.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, imagine that. If he didn't hit that home run in the 14th inning, you don't know what happens in the World Series. If the Astros win that game and they're now 2-1 in the series in Houston, like, you don't know what happens. The Sox won that next game 1-0. Maybe they had a little more momentum and a little more oomph in their bats, and they would have won the game 2-1 or something. Like, that home run was huge. I love the pick by you. And
thank you.
I think it's hilarious because Astros fans have become the bane of my existence over the last 3 or 4 days. That guy posting the picture on Twitter carrying around the trash can that was thrown on the field, saying this guy's carrying around White Sox fans. I'm offended, pal. He is now the color commentator for the Houston Astros after beating them in the World Series all those years ago. I think it is hilarious.
The irony is not lost on me, Vinny. I absolutely love it.
And Fernando Tatis Jr., he was the second piece in that trade. Nobody knew he was going to become a star, not even the Padres. I don't care what anyone in that organization says. And he's not as good as Tim Anderson, so I'd rather have my guy.
There you go, man. I love it. And without further ado, let's toss it over to you, Vinny. What is your best and worst White Sox trade deadline acquisitions over the years?
All right, so I'm going to go with one from a little while back for the best one, just because I don't want to steal anything from anyone else. I was looking back at some old trades. On June 27th, 2004, so about a month before the trade deadline, but I would still consider it a trade deadline type piece.
Sure.
It was the selling Mariners going to the White Sox, who in 2004 were trying to win the division. They ended up falling just short to the Twins. But they traded Freddie Garcia to the White Sox in exchange for Miguel Olivo, Jeremy Reed, Mike Morse. And they didn't win it that year, and they kind of were a colossal failure to a much less talented Twins team that just knew how to play baseball together. But that following year, Freddie Garcia was the real deal. He was an ideal 3 or 4 starter. He was part of that complete game shutout streak in the ALCS with Contreras and Burley and Garland. So that's my best trade. And my worst trade, I have a hard time looking back at some of these and picking out which one's my favorite. My favorite, or my least favorite, I guess I should say. But I'm going to have to feed off what you said, because I know I cracked the joke about Fernando Tatis Jr. and all that. But if you didn't go first, I wouldn't straight up go off of it, but I'm going to, just because of how abysmal of a trade it was. Because with this season, if he was there, they could have played Tim in center while Robert was out, or one of them could have played second. The entire team would be completely different if they had him on their team.
Amen, man. I appreciate that. Steven Zimmerman, let's toss it over to you. What is your favorite White Sox acquisition at the deadline of all time?
I'm going to piggyback off of Vinny, actually, because a month and 4 days after that Freddie Garcia trade, the White Sox turned around and traded Esteban Loaiza to the Yankees for a man known as Jose Contreras. Jose Contreras was such a vital piece of that World Series run, just as much as Freddie Garcia was. He was that final guy that you needed on the team, in that rotation, rather. Obviously the acquisition of El Duque the next season was also very big and probably one of the most underrated moves in that season to get a world championship for our White Sox. But just the fact that within a month span, the Sox went out and acquired Freddie Garcia and Jose Contreras, and then what they proceeded to do. They were both part of the 4 straight complete games in the ALCS that put the Sox in the World Series. So I don't think you can ever underrate those 2 moves that the Sox made in such a short period of time.
Yeah, and of course, made big impact on that 05 squad. I mean, absolutely clutch when it came down the road. What about the worst, Sim? Who's your worst acquisition?
Okay, for sentimental reasons, I didn't want to do it because I'm a huge fan of this player. But the Sox made a move at the trade deadline in, I'm sorry, I forget what year it was, for...
I think it was like 20. I want to say it was maybe 2015. I don't know. I'll let you go ahead.
But yeah, it was not good. He contributed pretty much nothing other than 1 put out at the plate in a very clutch situation. But I don't know. Ken Griffey Jr. on the White Sox, for those of you listening on the audio, that's what I posted. It's Ken Griffey Jr. Ken Griffey Jr. on the White Sox just...
It was 08.
It was 08. It sure was.
I'm way off.
He kind of had looked like he gave up on the Reds when they traded him to the Sox. He came to the Sox. He had a good half a season. And I think the reason that it's such a disappointment to me is that he was one of my favorite players ever. And I think that, a lot of people can say that, but when I was a kid that, you play the game. If you could change your name to anything you want, what would it be? My answer was immediately Ken Griffey Jr. He's the most baller guy on the planet. That's the dude. That is the guy. He was Michael Jordan of baseball to me. And for him to be on my favorite team for just a half a season and to be such a tease.
Here's that throw out you were talking about at home.
Put out.
Yeah. It was a great play. By Junior, that is. It was a horrible base running decision by the runner on third. You don't end the inning like that. That was just plain stupid. That ball is not deep enough to run on. I don't care how fast you are. But anyway, yeah, unfortunately it's Ken Griffey Jr. I know he only played another 2 years after that, but he could have finished his career with, my favorite team. My favorite player on my favorite team would have been phenomenal, but unfortunately we just don't always get what we want.
That's all right, man. It's all right. There's some winners and there's some losers. Gonzo, who's your winner for best White Sox trade acquisition at the deadline?
Before I go, I just want to say to Zims, it was just unfortunate that the Sox, you played the World Series champion Rays in the first round of that 08 postseason. That's what did it. You got to face David Price right off the get-go, and he was dealing in that part of his career.
That was the prime of David Price. That was what made him a household name.
Exactly. Now, I like how you guys went with the past and went to that championship ring that we have. I'm going to take a little different approach. I'm going to go with the Jose Quintana deal. And that was a piece that the Cubs thought would get them over the hump to make them go on a little dynasty run. I would imagine that's what they were thinking. And the Sox and Rick Hahn, they did the opposite. They got a piece in Dylan Cease, who, like I've said before, is probably the highest potential arm in our rotation right now. And they also gave us Eloy Jimenez, who I believe will go down as a guy that's going to top Jose Abreu on the home run list and be third. Maybe he'll get up there with Konerko and the others, possibly. He has put a lot of years to do that, but I think he will get over Abreu. And those two key pieces are going to be the reason why not only I think we win one, but I think we might win maybe extra ring than just one. Maybe I'll say two. I'm going to put it out there. I believe that they're going to win one the next coming year to 3. And I got wood to knock on right here, but I'm not afraid to say it. And
he's not afraid to say it. That's right.
I am not afraid to say it. And if Mr. Greg Braggs is watching, I want to look at you right in the eye and say, thanks, Cubs. Appreciate y'all.
Hi, Mom.
But yes, those are two key pieces that are going to give us a little run of our own. And hopefully you can come back and look at this moment. And maybe we see the Sox having a little Hawks run. And I know Vinny likes to hear that, but I'm hoping that is the case. But I believe Han is putting us on the right path right now with the core that we got. And he did it beginning off with this deal and a Chris Sale deal.
Who was the worst deal for you for the deadline?
There's so many you can go with, sadly, to say that in our Sox history. Mine would have been, I was just trying to look for something deep down the gutter, one that is like a, gold coin in the water just shining at you. And we go look at Jeff Samardzija trade for Marcus Semien when the A's deal. And how would Marcus Semien look in a Sox uniform right now playing second base? Granted, that would probably take away a little bit from Madrigal, his progression coming up after we drafted him. But Marcus Semien is an all-star. Gosh, he's hot, and we would love to have that piece in our lineup right now. And who knows what would have happened. But yeah, now Toronto has him, and that's a team in the East that we might have to face in the playoffs as well. So, and I don't know how much, anyone remembers of Samardzija, but the Shark, man, he had some moments, but it wasn't worth, what we gave up in that deal.
He was better on the north side than on the south side. I remember that much.
Yep.
That's very true.
And of course, the A's bite us on that one, and they bitten us on some others like Gio Gonzalez. He had some solid years for them. But yeah, that is the A's for you.
Well, boys, it's been a full show. We talked about a little bit of everything. Again, a huge thank you to our guest, Sarah LaPorta, Director of Community and Charity Programs at White Sox Charities. Don't forget to tune in to White Sox Charities Day on Wednesday. Lots of cool stuff going on with the team, so hopefully you guys can make a contribution and get something cool in return. And then before we get out of here and get to shout-outs and all that fun stuff, I do want to point out we got a hell of a show coming up next week, boys. If you want to get excited, next week's show, we have White Sox 2021 15th round draft pick Cam Butler joining us on the show to tell us his story and talk about being drafted by the White Sox. We also, after that, for the segmented portion of the show, have Ozzie Guillen Jr. stopping by to join us for the segments to talk baseball, talk White Sox. It's going to be a ton of fun. You don't want to miss it. But yeah, Cam Butler, that's going to be pretty cool. 15th rounder. He was drafted as an outfield, but he actually plays shortstop. We can talk to him a little bit about that and more. So don't miss next week's show. I can't even think of what day next Monday is, but I think it's like the 26th. Monday the 26th, I think. Yep. 7:45 p.m. Central. It's going to be dynamite show. Don't miss it. And then Vinny, you have Barroom on a special Barroom. You have Bar Down on a special night this week. Why don't you tell our listeners a little bit about that?
Yeah, so for those who follow hockey know that Wednesday's a big day in the NHL calendar because the Seattle Kraken are going to go through their expansion draft and build their team from scratch. And that's Wednesday night, so we came to the decision to do Bar Down on Tuesday at 2 p.m. instead of Wednesday at 2 p.m. And Joey's out of town in Michigan. I doubt he's watching right now. He's probably drinking beer, fishing, or something fun like that. But we recorded a pre-version of the show where we did the expansion draft and we did our own little mock and talked about the Kraken and how good we think they're going to be. I put $10 on them to win $750 at plus 7,000 because I think they're going to be really good. So make sure you tune in to hear some opinions on that. It'll be me opening the show, and then we'll do the thing with Joey, and then I'll take questions in the chat. So I really hope all the hockey fans tune in. And then on Thursday, we'll skip Wednesday. And then on Thursday, Crosstown Crosstalk, we have Chicago White Sox third round pick, Sean Burke, joining the show. So it's an electric.
That's gonna be fun.
It's an Electric Factory interview, and I can't wait for everyone to hear it. We'll talk about it on this show too.
Awesome.
That's killer stuff, Vinny. We're looking forward to that. And make sure everyone else turns into all the great shows on the network. We got the Mike North Advantage. You got Greg Gabriel's back for another year on the Barroom. Going to be exciting stuff, talking Bears, Bear football. Fantasy Football Goons coming back. My fantasy football show. That's going to be on Sundays. So tons of great stuff coming up for football season on the Barroom. The Barfly Tailgate Show. Everything is going to be so exciting here. Don't miss it. The Barroom Network's where you want to be for all your great coverage for all Chicago sports. But now it's time to get over to the shout-out portion of the show before we close things down. Vinny Parisi, I'll let you lead things off.
My shout-out is short and sweet. Gavin Sheets, you saved me from having a miserable night. And when I say a miserable night, people probably think I'm exaggerating. It's borderline sad and depressing how much that team impacts my, mood. That I'm going to bed happy. I might not even go to bed for another couple hours now just because of that. So Gavin Sheets, shout out to you. You're the real MVP. I care about not a soul in the world more than you right now.
It's a beautiful thing. I love it. I love it, Vinny. Gonzo, what do you got for shout outs?
Yeah, I got a couple of shout outs this week, and I'm going to start off with my girlfriend, Soraya. We did celebrate a 2-year anniversary last weekend, but our official anniversary was actually this past weekend. We had to celebrate early when she left. Because of what happened with me, with my career. We had to celebrate early, but our real one was this past weekend. And I appreciate her for her endless support. And I'm also going to shout out Vincent in the chat. I also want to remind Vincent, stay around for definitely be in the chat for next week, as our guarantee take will probably evolve around I'll tease this, but a trade deadline special with Ozzie Jr. with us, talking all Sox baseball and what could happen or what will happen by then. And then also I'm going to shout out Adam Sham. He always gives us a nice Twitter shout out, and we appreciate that, Adam. And those are my shout outs for this week.
Absolutely, brother. Zim, what do you got?
Well, hey, I want to shout out to you guys for holding down the fort while, I was out with some unexpected technical issues. They're all resolved, as you can see. I'm here. I think I sound just as good as ever.
You do.
I've got some new hardware here, so we can maybe pull out some more stops on the show and explore some new tricks for all of us, and hopefully improve the quality of this program you're watching. And on top of that, I want to give a thank you to someone who's probably has zero crossover with our podcast, but he is very, very important to getting me back on this podcast. And that is Galactic Elliot. He is a Pokemon and other RPG game streamer over on twitch.com twitch.tv. He assisted me so much in finding a new computer, in finding something with my budget, in helping me look through all the options for everything that I wanted. Just an outstanding guy who really didn't have to take the time to help, little old me, and he really came through for a stranger when I needed it. So if you're interested in Pokemon, other RPGs like that, he is also going through some hardware issues at the moment, but check him out at twitch.tv/Galactic Elliot. He's always a fun time. He talks to chat a lot. He's just fun. So that's all I got. Joe, back to you.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. And it's my part of the show where I'm going to get to my shout outs. First and foremost, thank you to our guest, Sarah LaPorta from White Sox Charities. Absolutely great to have someone from the White Sox organization and White Sox Charities with us, talking about all the great stuff they have going on. Of course, I always shout out my beautiful wife, Catherine, and my Great Dane, Maverick. I love you guys. And then, of course, I want to give a huge shout out to Aldo and Donna Gandia for hosting us for an amazing barroom barbecue on Saturday over at their house. We had amazing Mexican food. There was sandwiches. There was drinks. There were amazing hosts. We got to meet Aldo's daughters and their boyfriends. We had an awesome air bubble hockey tournament in his basement. If you head over to the Barroom Network Twitter, you can check out some of that. Aldo's an absolute ringer when it comes to air bubble hockey. The guy must do it in his sleep. He's just absolutely amazing at it. So props to Aldo. But it was a great time. Cannot thank you enough for hosting us and for everything you do for this network. So thank you, Aldo. And Vinny and Joey were there. We had a blast. Of course, shout out to them. Neil Stopchinski and his beautiful girlfriend. I'm drawing a blank on Aubrey. I think it's Aubrey. Aubrey or Audrey?
I was going to say Aubrey, but I didn't want to sound like an idiot. But
I think it's Aubrey. I think it's Aubrey. So it was really nice to meet you. Then of course we got to meet our buddy Laro from Bulls 101.
How'd the Cubs
Laro
do?
Golden. What's that?
I asked Laro how the Cubs are doing.
Oh yeah, and his girlfriend and his wife's name I believe is Nora, if I remember correctly. So absolutely great time getting to meet all you guys, getting together, breaking bread. We had some good drinks.
Did you do Malort shots for me?
He didn't have Malort, but we did shots of this Polish raspberry flavored bourbon or something.
It was raspberry flavored. What's the other one? It was like very sweet.
Brandy. Bourbon? Brandy?
It was brandy. It was brandy. If it was bourbon, your boy probably wouldn't have liked it. But it was pretty good. I think Joey did like 3 shots of it.
He did.
Absolute muffin top.
I actually took a picture of the logo on the bottle because I thought it kind of looked like, oh, yeah, it is brandy. I was like, this could be a great logo for a show. Hang on a second. Let's see if we can get it. I got to zoom in on this picture. Look how jolly this dude is. Look how freaking jolly. I mean, that's good stuff right there. I mean, that could be a logo.
I will have a next mustache on next week's show. That's my promise.
Yeah. We're thinking about using this as in the future, maybe Vinny and I and Joey will do like a nerd podcast about like Star Wars and shit. So maybe we could do a play on the sexy Polish man with the mustache, for the logo. Tons of things we can look at for the future, but I know, a little bit of a rant, but huge shout out to Aldo and Donna for hosting us. It was an absolute great time. Can't wait to do more stuff like that in the future. And that's all I got, boys. And I always appreciate you guys for joining us and everyone else that's been in the chat. It's been an absolutely fun night. This is probably one of the longest shows we've done in a long time, but we had a lot of fun tonight. Thank you all for joining us. For the South Burbs Hitmen, I'm Joe Mandel. The guy below me is Chris Gonzalez. Over there is Steven Zimmerman. And, of course, to my computer right is Vinny Parisi. We thank you all for joining us. Great win for the White Sox tonight. Let's rattle off a few more before we come back on Monday, and we will see you guys then. Cam Butler, Ozzie Guillen Jr. We'll see you guys Monday. Have a great night, and go White Sox.